Is it Animorphs? Is that why?
No, it's second grade science class.
Oh, right. You told me you had a curriculum about salmons.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've got Han here today. Why do we have you here, Han?
Kong kidnapped me.
Because Han is very cool and a very cool artist and a very cool friend, and you're a very good Genshin player.
Genshin. I've tried that one time.
I regret that my friends associate me with that game
Because
for the past 2 years.
Do you still play it?
I still play it, but not as much. Yeah.
What got you into that?
It was my friends, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah. Diane and Chrissy were playing it, and they're...
So you play all at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like you go on adventures together?
We used to do that until there's this thing called like scholarships and graduation. Yeah, that got around.
That's sad. But that's happy as well. So Han, tell me about your history, because I don't really know much about you. You were in our innovation class in grade 10. Before that, I must have taught you you were here in grade 8?
Yep.
Yeah?
I was in your class.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I didn't talk that much.
So, you said you're from Korea. Mm-hmm. And when did you get here?
It is 10 years ago, right around 10 years ago, because I came here on July of 2013.
So this is the 50th episode of this podcast, and we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of you arriving in Canada.
Yeah.
It's all like connected.
Yeah, a lot of milestones.
So do you remember your time in South Korea?
I was pretty small, and I was 8 years old, so I didn't do that much that would be called life-changing. But yeah.
What city were you from?
I was from Paju.
Paju.
Yeah, it's fairly northern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Close to North Korea?
Yeah.
How close to North Korea?
It's not like right by neighbors, but it's compared to everything else in that country, it's fairly
So you
close.
weren't yelling across the border, "Hey guys,
not
come
like that.
over." No. Do you remember anything about Korea?
I lived in an apartment, which there is a lot of in Korea, because the land is just kind of small, so people have to go up instead of wide.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what happens in a lot of big cities. I know in Hong Kong, which I've been to, and Taipei, huge cities, everything goes up. So you get a tiny apartment, and it's very, very dense. So I guess, like the density, I don't know much about Paju, but is it a big city?
Just think of having apartments everywhere you go. You can always see at least one from somewhere.
So like giant blocks of people, basically. What was it like growing up there?
I didn't leave my neighborhood area that often because I was 8, but basically there's these like a bunch of apartments. It's like 10 apartments in one area, and that's like one neighborhood. And most of the kids from there would know each other. Mm-hmm. So we go to school together, and after school, like we'd go to like the nearest snack shop and just buy some like little chips that moms do not like. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Moms do not like?
Yeah, unhealthy snacks.
Unhealthy snacks, I see.
Yeah.
And so how would you get around as a kid? Just walked everywhere? Or did you take the bus? But I guess you got here when you were 8, so that's pretty young to be traveling around by yourself, right?
Yeah, it was mostly only during the day, and it was right after school. And I didn't leave the radius from like between my house to my school. So it was like a very small world for me as an 8-year-old.
Mm-hmm. What do you remember doing for fun?
I actually couldn't do a lot of stuff because most of my friends would go to like after school programs where they study, and my mom was specifically against forcing me that, and I wasn't interested. So I told my mom, I don't want to go do math. I hate math. And she was like, okay, I won't sign you up for math. And I didn't go to math, but all my friends were going to like after school math classes. So I didn't have anything to do, and I don't want to go outside alone. So I just sat home, watched some TV, tried to take a violin class, but that didn't last that long.
Oh my gosh, all your friends were Kumon kids.
They were Kumon kids.
And my kids are Kumon kids. They were actually in Kumon? Is that what the program was?
Kumon was pretty popular in my school, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And was it like you hear a lot about in Asia, like it was even school on the weekends, right?
Yeah.
Like, was it like when you went to school, was it just 5 days a week, or did they have other things that you had to go to?
Yeah, I was just in elementary, so it was only 5 days. But once you go to like high school and sometimes even like high class middle schools is 6 days.
Really?
Yeah.
So you like the Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Saturday's an all day thing too?
I don't exactly know. I think that depends on the school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just that I've never actually been there.
Mm-hmm. So, like, when you were that young, because we know you as an artist here because of all the stuff that you produce for everybody, but when you were that young, did you already get into art? Like, did you have friends that influenced you, or was it, was it like watching other people, or was it just something like you were bored and you just wanted to do something?
I do think it was mostly because I was bored. And my mom realized that I was really into like crafting and using my hands for like pencils and stuff. So she gave me a lot of supplies for that. And I think that's why it kind of encouraged me more. Mm-hmm. And everyone else was like, wow, you're so talented. You could be an artist. And like the little 8-year-old me was like, I will be an artist.
Was your mom an artist? Like, did she draw?
My mom's side of family was generally interested in art, but none of them pursued a career, except for my grandpa. He was a calligrapher.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But then again, he was also a businessman and kind of gambled too much and died. And yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And because of that, my mom was never actually able to pursue an art.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is that something that would be encouraged in Korea, like to pursue the arts?
It really depends. Like 10 to 20 years ago, I think it was more of like a difficult job.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's more like it's more well received. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's more considered as like elite work of art. I guess.
So what's changed to encourage that line of work now?
I think it's because people realized they could use art to promote a lot of their stuff, like culture and marketing and all that stuff. Like the concept existed before, but it really got on as social media grew up.
Yeah, I guess nowadays there's a lot more shows and things like that, and there's a lot of entertainment coming from Korea for sure.
Yeah,
that we are exposed to, even in like here, mm-hmm. right? Because you like Squid Game, some of the animated shows, some of the you've got K-pop that people are interested in now.
Aren't there a lot of like American animated shows that will like do part of their animation in Korea too?
I know that has existed for a long time. I know Legend of Korra did that.
I think the original Avatar also did that.
Yeah.
Not the Blue People one, the animated one.
Yeah. It's been done before, but I won't be surprised if there is more of that now.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you remember coming here when you were 8? And
I actually don't.
You don't?
Yeah, but I do somehow remember when my dad first came here because he went first, and then the rest of my family came after. And he was at the airport, and we did our goodbyes, and I was pretty normal when he was leaving, but after we left the airport, I just started sobbing. Uh-huh. Yeah. That's the only thing I remember.
Were you told what the plan was? What was the plan?
I knew what the plan was. It's just that like I thought I'm old enough to handle it, but I saw him leave and like, it just kind of hit really hard, I guess, as an 8-year-old.
So what was the plan in terms of coming here? Why come here?
My aunt, my dad's sister, actually already lives here. They've been living for longer than us. They've been well over 10 years.
Oh, really? Okay.
So since they were here, my dad kind of got like, I guess, tips and like info from what people normally do around here. So he thought, well, we don't really want to live in South Korea anymore. Might as well go join my sister. So he went first to see if he can like make the finance and money to have a stable life. And he thought it's okay. I think it's gonna work. So he just brings like the rest of the family. And I knew vaguely the process. I don't think I heard the full thing because I was 8.
Okay, so you're not. I guess you wouldn't know like some of the reasons why like they thought of this place as better than Korea at that time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they left because your aunt was already here and already made a life for herself, and it was seemed like a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I see.
I asked my mom recently about it, and her main answer was that she couldn't stand the social norms in South Korea.
And what does that mean?
It's kind of a common trait in a lot of East Asian countries, I think, where like there's a certain way a person must be to have a happy life. Like you got to go to school at this age, with this grades, and you must have children at this age, kind of like that. Okay,
so there's certain expectations that were in South Korea that you were trying to get away from.
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. Is there family still in South Korea?
Oh yeah, most of
your family.
Most of my mom's side of the family is still there.
Okay. When you got here, do you remember any of that? Like, what was the first thing you remember about Canada?
The first thing I remember is going to our new home for the first time in Canada, and it was just a standard suburb kind of like share house kind of house. It wasn't that big. It was actually extremely normal thinking about it now, but as an 8-year-old who has never seen that kind of thing, it was really interesting. Like, I didn't know that Canadians have like backyards with grass. I didn't know that.
Because it's very different from what you experienced from a household in Korea, right?
Yeah. In Korea, there's usually the apartment like complex, and there's just a park right near it, a small park. That's mostly where you would only see grass.
Okay.
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you were like, because I'm assuming like at some point your parents were like, yo, we're going to move to Canada. What did you think Canada was like going to be like? Did you picture it as kind of just like Korea but different, or did you picture it as like a bunch of igloos?
I actually had no idea because as an 8-year-old, you don't hear a lot of stuff about the world. The most thing I knew about Canada was the name and where it was on the map. And that was kind of it. I actually didn't know anything about the life you would have here because as an 8-year-old, you're not even exposed to like North American media.
Really?
Yeah, basically, even if I do watch on a movie that would be set in North America, I don't recognize that. I just think it's like, oh, it's somewhere. I don't know where that is.
I'm imagining most North American stuff is like set in America anyway, like the US.
Yeah.
Second question. What is you said you don't remember moving exactly, but what do you think was probably the first food you tried in Canada?
It was actually Korean rice cake.
Oh.
Because my dad was working at a company that deals in Korean rice cakes, and we basically had that for snacks every day.
What is a Korean rice cake?
You know when you see it.
I know what a rice cake is.
Yeah.
I don't know what a Korean rice cake. What's I guess is it just a normal rice cake, crunchy but with like Korean spices or something on it?
Oh, Korean rice cake is mostly just a name of a category. They could be like all kinds of subspecies.
Species.
Yeah.
How like what does it look like?
There are a
Many
lot of ways
different
it can
types.
look like.
Okay.
It really is just think of a bakery. When you say bakery, you don't know what kind of bread is in there. You just know it's some kind of bread.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to go look for it then.
Yeah.
Did you learn English before you came here?
My mom tried, but
Your mom tried to teach you?
yeah. Thinking back on it, she only really taught me the alphabet.
So your parents speak English?
They try. They try.
Do they speak as well as you do right now?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but they tried to learn after they came here?
My mom's still trying to learn. So is
Yeah.
my dad. He always listens to like English study as we sleep.
Really?
A 1 hour playlist. Yeah.
Still now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Did the jobs that they took on here require them to speak English?
My mom works as a waitress, which does require English. She does work mostly with Korean like employees.
Right.
Yeah. So with her colleagues, it's not as much of a question, but for customer, yeah, she does need to use English.
Okay. So now that you're here,
Yes.
you're 8 years old, right?
Yeah.
When
Yep.
you got here. And I guess you would have been in grade 3.
Yep.
Yeah. What was that like growing up here as a new immigrant from Korea? How did people around you react to that? What kind of experience did you have growing up?
Well, the neighborhood I was in was also full of other immigrant children. So there wasn't.
What neighborhood was that?
It was somewhere in Burnaby.
Oh, okay.
I don't exactly remember.
Oh,
where.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of Koreans in Burnaby.
Yeah. I didn't meet a lot of Koreans, but there were like a lot of immigrants who kind of understand that, yeah, we don't know what's going on. Let's just hang out.
Let's just figure this out together.
Yeah. Because when you're a child, you don't think that much. You're just mostly up for like, I wonder if they have chocolate milk for lunch today. Like, yeah.
Did you ever have issues with people? Like, you bring different, like one of the things that I remember growing up as a kid in elementary school was, lunches. Because I would bring certain things that everybody would stare at and wonder about. Did you have that kind of experience?
I didn't have that problem until grade 6 because grade 6, I transferred to this neighborhood. And the neighborhood before, it was the school served the food. It wasn't high quality, but they did serve the food. So I never had that problem. But coming to this neighborhood, my mom had to pack my lunch. And sometimes she would just get the, kimbap, right? It's like the cousin of sushis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you usually have for lunch?
Yeah.
Oh, it always looks really, really good.
You just get a bunch of that, and it does look really similar to sushi rolls. It's just the difference is the ingredients. And everyone thinks it's sushi, so everyone wants to try, but I know it's not the flavor they're thinking. So I'm always a little hesitant to give some.
So what's in it exactly?
For sushi rolls, it's mostly seafood, but for kimbap, it's maybe sometimes meat and mostly vegetables. Yeah.
And is it spicy?
You can make it spicy if you want.
There's many different subvariants of
Yeah.
kimbap.
Because what it changes itself is just the ingredients. Because you don't do much. You just put stuff in there and you roll it up. Yeah.
With rice
Yeah.
and seaweed?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like Korean sushi.
Yeah, basically. As I said,
Basically.
it's a cousin to sushis.
Yeah. So you brought that and people wanted to try it?
Yeah.
And did they?
They did, and they liked it. And I think from their face, I think they realized it's not what they think it is, but still didn't hate it. So
one time I can't remember where I was when I think I was I was older, but I brought a bunch of like these Chinese preserved salty plums, and I brought that as a snack because I like kind of sour stuff. So it was sour and salty. So a bunch of people in my group, they were like, what is that? Can I try some? I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, I'll try anything. I'm like, okay.
Do they like it?
I gave each person in my group that I was in, we were doing a project, one of those salty plums, and they put in their mouth and immediately ran to the garbage can. I'm like, no, don't waste it. But that's, I guess they like trying things. But yeah, foods can be very different, and like different ethnic groups have different types of food. And I find that when I was growing up, that was one of the things that got people interested, knowing that I was completely like a different ethnicity when they saw my food, and they're like, what is that thing that you're eating, right? Or when I would invite friends over to my house, and they would see stuff on the table and they'd be like, what the heck is that? So, how did you develop your artistic skills then? Like, was there somebody who, as you were going through the elementary school system, did somebody notice what you were doing and point that out to you?
I always heard the phrase, wow, you're very talented, because I'm always drawing. That's the only thing I would do. Even when, like, as an elementary school student, like, you eat your lunch and the teacher send you out because teachers got to do things. I would still bring my sketchbook out, sometimes even my whole bag.
So even in elementary school,
Yeah.
you were just sketching all the time?
I was drawing. Like, my friends would sit beside me and like, Han, when are you going to play with us? And like, just a little more.
So that was your preferred thing to do, even like outside during recess or lunchtime?
Yeah.
Question: what did you do if it was raining?
I used to...
You don't have to say question, by the way, Cassie. You can just...
Oh, what did you do when it was raining?
Question number 3.
Oh, wow.
What did you do
Great
when
question.
it was raining?
Yeah. Great question. I would try to find... You know how there's like little roofs for the doors that lead to outside?
like
I would try to sit there and hope that no one actually opens the door.
Okay. Because I just remembered when I would try to read outside, but it was always raining half the time, so I could never do it.
You didn't have any cover outside?
Oh,
in
we
your
did,
school?
but it was still like raining and like sad and like gross outside because the ground was wet. And every time I picture elementary playgrounds, I always picture them with rain because it's like always raining.
Really?
Oh.
I always picture sunny days.
Same.
When
I think that's the normal way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Playing in the sun with my friends. That's what I picture.
no,
You're
I
very
remember.
different, Cassie.
I picture sitting in the undercover area with my hands freezing, going, "When do we go inside?" I should have appreciated that time more, but I just remember the undercover area and sitting there.
Oh, well. But Han was sketching the whole time,
yeah.
even in the rain.
Oh gosh, what did you draw in elementary school?
Yeah. What did you draw?
I would draw just like normal kid media things, like cartoons and like Minecraft stuff. I think it wasn't majorly Minecraft because that was the big thing in our kid age.
What would you call your style or your preferred things to draw? Because, I mean, when I look at different student artists, like they tend to focus on certain things, right? I know artists who really like to draw people. Some people like to draw animals, right? Is there something that you love drawing all the time, like you tend towards?
This is a very hard question.
Yeah.
Hot people.
Why
Cassie,
would you
this
say
is
it like
a
that?
family show.
People who look cool.
Sure. I think it's mostly characters.
Yeah.
Characters as in like
Why is it a hard question?
because yesterday I was not yesterday, it was the day before yesterday. I was like studying muscle and like anatomy stuff of a person, and yesterday I doodled stuff on MS Paint of like little blobs, and today I'm doodling blobs on paper. But they're all characters in some way. They got like a face, even if it's like 2 dots and a smile.
So characters as opposed to just like objects. Like, would you spend the time to make a drawing of a vase or something like that?
I have done that before, and it's a very distinctly different feeling. For characters that I'm thinking of, like, I think they would have this kind of personality. But for drawing a vase, it's more like a challenge. It's more like running. Yeah, I don't hate it, but it is pretty tiring after I'm done.
Is it like you're trying to focus on something? Is that what's tiring?
It's mostly about calculating inside the brain on how far things between things should be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, because when you're drawing like realistic life drawings, it's mostly about proportions.
Oh, okay. So it's more about kind of logic and calculation as opposed to just creativity and imagination.
Yeah.
So, like when you were, has your style changed since from when you were younger till now, or do you still like? How did it develop over time? Is what I'm interested in.
I feel like when I was young, I was drawing things that I could draw, that I can draw, like cartoons. Like cartoons are pretty easy to draw, and I used to draw cartoons because those are easy. And now I'm more into like, what would I draw? Yeah.
Like, I guess after drawing so long, you probably did you start with, like most artists, I think probably start with imitation first, right?
Yeah.
You try to trace things, or you do a tutorial, or you draw things that are already drawn just to learn how that works, the mechanics of it, and I guess building up a library of different techniques, and then, but I guess now you're at a point where you can just pull stuff out of your brain.
Yeah, most of it. Yeah. How did I draw when I was young? It's been a while.
If I put you in a classroom full of 8-year-olds and I said, teach them how to draw, what would you teach them first?
I would probably refer back to like how to draw videos I watched when I was 8. Thinking about it now, like the people I watched, like the people who made those videos, I probably outgrew them, but
Yo, that's such a power move.
I mean, I don't know where they are now. Some of them, I don't think they are active on that media anymore, but yeah. Some of them, I'm sure, like, they're even better right now because it's been 10 years, but yeah.
Maybe this is an artsy-fartsy question, but, this is a family show. Am I allowed to say fart?
Go ahead.
Okay, maybe this is an artsy-fartsy question, but... Okay, let's say I handed you a paper and I said, draw a frog wearing like a ball cap. What is your like process for breaking down how to like do that? Like, what do you start with?
Okay. I start imagining how the head would look like in my head. And after the head is drawn out in my head, I draw out the general proportions on the paper. And during that process, I also draw the head and also the ball cap you mentioned, because that is also on the head. And then I would add in the limbs.
Do you put like for proportions? Do you like sketch out like guidelines and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just how the general shape would look like.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Because watching you draw every time, it's like magic. You just start like doing it, and I'm like, what?
Well, you do it a lot. You do it in almost every class, right? Because I
do it every
remember,
class.
I remember you'd be in engineering, and we'd be okay. We're doing some CAD stuff, and then on the side you would have MS Paint open, and you'd be okay. Let me just do a quick
Yeah.
masterpiece here, or you'd have your sketchbook or whatever. It seems to be something that do you do it in academic classes as well? Like doodling, does that help you focus or anything like that?
I think the only class that I didn't doodle in is math class. Because in my class, you always have to like do the solving equations and listen to the teacher on how to solve the thing. So the brain and hands are always occupied. But when it's something like a lecture, like as an example, your engineering class, like you're explaining how this program works and how this program works.
Yeah.
I mostly have to listen. So occasionally I would look up, but mostly I'm sketching. It kind of stems from the long-term worry that if I stop doodling in class, I might fall asleep.
Okay. That's what I've heard as well, because I mean, it used to be in old traditional classes, like doodling would be like the teacher would say, hey, put that away. You're not listening. But now we know that, sometimes that helps people actually concentrate or stay awake or stay focused, like you said, right?
Yeah. I do like that because I've been in W for a long time, and I think the only teacher who had said that to me was Mr. McGrath. And I think that's pretty good. It was only one person.
So, like, do you ever, while you're sketching, sketch the things that are coming up in terms of the concepts that are being discussed? Like, have you turned your sketching into notes before?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah. Especially in science class where things look kind of wonky and weird, and like, I gotta reimagine it in my head. Yeah.
Draw the personification of the mitochondria.
Not personification, but yeah, mitochondria.
Like, do you draw diagrams?
Yeah.
Cool. I have a friend, he's a dentist now. He has his own dental practice, but in university, he actually did drawings. He's an artist as well. Like he does like rap music albums, and he actually worked with Lee's Donuts on Granville Island for an art display that they had. So he actually does that as a side hustle. Not that a dentist would need a side hustle, but he still has a huge interest in art. So in university, it was obvious that, Addie, he's the artist, but he would actually take notes in our lectures, and then like beautiful notes that made the concepts a lot more clear to people. And he actually sold them to other students because people saw it and they were like, this is way more helpful than listening to this recording of the lecture that I have. So he made a business out of it. So, I mean, that's something to keep in mind on. But
make money.
Because he was good at it and it actually was helpful to people. So they were more than willing to, drop a few bucks for this person's work. And I think I remember taking an honors chemistry course, which I shouldn't have taken because it was excruciating. But I took this honors organic chem course at UBC. And I remember I don't know if he had a photographic memory or what his deal was, but there were all these different diagrams of molecules, organic molecules, and then electron pathways that you had to remember in biochemistry as well. And there's just so much of that memorization, and I could never hold that in my head. Like you could show me a diagram and then moments later I would not know what that diagram looked like. But for him, he could. I was like, what was that diagram about the thing? And then he would actually sketch the whole thing out. And then later on I would look at the textbook and be like, this is an exact replica of what's in the textbook. So something was going on in his head that was clearly not going on in mine in terms of, I don't know what it was, but he was able to just picture things. Like,
That's impressive.
Is that something that you have as an artist? Like
I do not have that. I wish I had that.
like that doesn't help you in other subject areas where you can just imagine what something looked like? Like can you
Give me an example. This is kind of hard.
Like so let's say if you saw somebody's face for the first time, you met somebody new, like could you then recall that and then put it on paper, like sketch their face or what they look like? Could you describe, like, is it are you more observant as an artist?
I am pretty bad with faces, so the answer I have for that specific question is probably a no, but let me think. Is there any instant where art made me smarter?
Well, the smart could mean a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
There are many sub-variants of smart. But if I told you to go into this room you've never seen before, and then when you come out of the room, I asked you, can you picture all the walls in the room and the decor and everything that's in there? Like, is that something that an artist can do because of the observational skills you might have?
I feel like that breaches on photographic memory kind of line, but I can probably remember specific decorations that give me an impact. Like, wow, that looks really weird. What is that? And if I can understand how that would proportionally look like inside my head, I can probably redraw it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what is, because we've asked you to draw posters and stuff like that. What is your process when we, like, for Urinetown, you drew the poster for Urinetown.
And it looked really, really cool.
And it looked
I do like how that looks.
super cool.
Yeah, I like how that looks.
What is your process? Can you take us through what you went through to come up with the idea? I guess you talked to Mr. Turpin about what he wanted out of it, and then you just started coming up with different prototypes, or what was the process of coming up with that poster that ended up being a poster, but also on the program and everywhere, right?
Where should I start? Yeah, the
whiteboard.
I talked to Turpin about what the most necessary parts are, and usually he says, go wild, do anything you want. And so I do anything I want on the whiteboard first, because there's usually a whiteboard hanging around in, like, the textiles
But it
room,
doesn't have to be a whiteboard. You just, any surface that's convenient?
Yeah, any surface that's convenient, I guess. I do it on paper if a whiteboard is not present in the moment. I do prefer whiteboard, though, because...
Why is that?
It's big and it's erasable markers, and there's no pressure on messing up. I don't know why that's so important to me. I think it's mostly a me thing, but before I do all the setup with my computer and before I do the painting thingies, there's kind of a set of expectations because of the drawings I made on that setup before, which is like 8 hours and like 12 hours, super good art, and it's that kind of expectation present. But for a whiteboard, there's none of that. So I can do wildest things, and I wouldn't feel bad. Because
you have to erase it, and it's supposed to be a temporary medium.
Yeah, the only thing I'll have to do is take a picture of it.
I use a whiteboard a lot as well. Actually, for my home, I bought a whiteboard off of Craigslist because I was like, I have to have a whiteboard in my house because I pretend to be a teacher at home. No, I don't. But I mean, like anytime I have like a programming idea or organizing something, I will always go to the whiteboard first. And like you said, it's big, and it's temporary. So I just put whatever I want on there. It's easy to erase, right?
Yeah. And I don't know if you feel this with the big whiteboards that kind of stand on the wheels on their own. Don't they kind of wobble when you draw on them?
A little bit, yeah.
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 And does that make you feel a little dizzy?
It doesn't make me feel dizzy, but I don't like the feeling of it. Yeah.
Okay. Because it does make me feel dizzy, and I think that's kind of contributing to the wildness factor, where I'm like, oh wait, what was that drawing? Oh wait, that would look cool. Kind of a trance state where I'm not worried about the consequences of my actions.
Really?
Yeah.
So the wobble actually adds to your creativity, you're saying?
Yeah.
Interesting. So once you're done sketching it on the whiteboard, what did you do next?
I take a picture, and if the whiteboard drawing is too messy, then I just do that again on paper, and I show it to Turpin. Mm-hmm. And if he likes it, I go to my drawing tablet, and I do it digitally.
What do you use on the tablet?
Clip Studio Paint, which I do not suggest for new artists anymore because they changed the pricing policy, and now you got to pay way more. Yeah, it's subscription now.
Oh, boo. Boo to subscriptions.
Yeah.
Only MS Paint forever.
Yeah.
Is it on an iPad?
No, it's for computers.
Okay, so it's like one of those Wacom tablets that are hooked up to a computer?
Yeah, it can be on any computer. I know it also works on like tablets and iPads too, but yeah. Mm-hmm. If you have an iPad, you probably use Procreate, so.
Mm-hmm. I've used that. Yeah. Cool. And then, so most of your art ends up being digital for things like social media, obviously, and for things that you're going to print. Obviously, that's the best medium. Right?
Yeah. It's also easiest to just kind of carry around because it's just a file and not a physical thing.
Right.
So do you like drawing on paper more, on whiteboard more, or on digital more?
I probably do most of my stuff on digital, probably. How do I explain it? There's a spectrum of how much expectation I have for each drawing, because whiteboard has the least expectations. For digital is actually in the middle of the spectrum, and at the very high end of the spectrum, paper or some kind of physical copy has the most expectations, because if I draw it on there, it stays there forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have to say question when I ask a question, right?
You have to think about that.
No. How many sketchbooks do you, or how long does it take you to get through a sketchbook? And what do you do with the sketchbook once it's full?
During my elementary school phase, it used to be one sketchbook per month.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah, during my high school, I think it was one sketchbook for every 2 or 3 months, because that's when I really got into digital stuff and I didn't use papers as much.
Do you keep your sketchbooks around, or do you just regard it as practice? Like, do you keep it around for ideas later on, or what do you do with them?
When I was young, and my little elementary school logic was that, well, I don't need these. And to be honest, a lot of these old drawings are very crappy, but I can't throw it away because they don't fit in the trash can. So I kept them, and now me, who's older and has a much better sense of logic, is like, well, yeah, these drawings do suck, but I might as well keep them, because I heard a lot of things from older artists that if you keep these kind of stuff, they might help in the future.
I'm just picturing elementary you with like your rectangular sketchbook going to a round trash can and going, doesn't fit. I guess I have to keep this.
Yeah.
all the Minecraft art. Was it like, was it just Minecraft characters, or was it like blocky? Was it like the Minecraft blocks?
Both.
Wow.
Anything I felt like on the day.
Can we go back to just talking? Can we talk about Urinetown again? Urinetown, by the way, for the listener, was the big musical that the drama team put on this year, which you guys were both involved in.
It was very fun. Oh no, there might be people listening to this 7 years from now. Okay.
There could be.
So hopefully you guys still have water, right? Well, water is a big part of Urinetown.
Oh yeah.
You can guess
Well,
that from the name.
if we don't have water 7 years from now, I think we'd be dead. So nobody's listening.
Or we
to
go to
this podcast.
Urinetown.
We
Yeah.
go to Urinetown.
So Han, talking about that Urinetown poster, how did you come up with the concept? I think, if I remember correctly, in the poster there's a guy holding a plunger.
It's the coolest photo of a guy holding a plunger ever.
Yeah. When I was first thinking of the concepts to draw on the whiteboard, I Googled just Urinetown posters, and I would scroll down and see how other people, like professionals, how they did it, and they're mostly quite tame, I guess, for a dystopia setting. It was
Sorry, were you part of the, like, what part did you play in the Urinetown musical?
just a poster.
Just the poster?
Just a poster.
So that means you didn't really know the story at that time, right?
I knew the concept. I read
Oh, okay.
the script and listened to the music.
Oh, you did
before,
listen.
yeah.
Oh, you did
We
all
all
that.
ranted about it, and everyone was listening to it like during lunch and stuff.
Okay, so you had a really good idea of what it was
Yeah.
about. Okay, otherwise, I'm just wondering, how would you come up with a poster without knowing what the story
Yeah.
was?
But I do have a small confession about that part.
Okay.
I listened to the whole thing when I was in quarantine, and I actually didn't remember anything except for the beginning and the end when I was making that poster. So I was like, it's kind of like a challenge for myself.
To be fair, the beginning and the end are like the most memorable parts. The beginning because that's when they explain the whole premise, which is weird. And the end because the end is like so out of left field and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But Dude with Plunger is good direction.
Yeah, I didn't want to re-listen to the whole thing again because I was, you know how that is. Like, Christy was also talking about it too. Like, she didn't want to listen to the whole Hadestown music because she's gonna watch it for herself. Yeah, I was in that kind of mindset, and with that in mind, I was scrolling through the posters on Google, and what I frequently saw was a plunger motive.
Uh-huh.
It was fairly freaking, and it was just a plunger. No one was holding it. So I thought, what if Bobby was holding that, though? Like, because if it's just a plunger, there's not much to go on there.
Well,
but,
in your poster, it's like a revolutionary poster where somebody's like protesting or starting a revolution with a plunger in his like right hand in the air.
Yeah.
Right?
Or was it left hand?
I don't exactly
I think it was
remember.
left hand.
Left hand? Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, how did you come up with that idea? How'd you get from, okay, I'm looking at all these examples and it's just a plunger, to thinking about, okay, this is like a revolution, so we need to have somebody there, and Bobby maybe holding a plunger and leading the charge or something?
You kind of described my whole thought process.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I think it's also cool because, okay, at least in our production, Bobby actually never holds a plunger, but I think that's an error on our part. I think we should have seen that poster and should have gone at some point, Bobby should take the plunger from Pennywise and hold it. I think that would have been a cooler idea.
That would have been cool.
Yeah,
Or, it's implied, right? Like, it doesn't have to be literally happening.
I think about the Phantom posters and how the mask never looks the same way it does in the show.
Really?
Yeah, it's always like the what is it? How do I describe this?
Half a mask?
Yeah, it's the one in the show is more like a quarter, but in the posters it's always like a half.
Oh.
Like it's never accurate to the actual show.
Well, if it's recognizable, that's really all that matters.
Yeah, and the plunger dude is very recognizable, so I think it works.
Yeah.
So now that you are a grad, this is your last year in high school.
The last 2 weeks.
Don't cringe.
You're old.
Yee.
where do you see you obviously want to go into arts, right? Obviously.
What if I tell you no?
Well, that'd be a surprise to me.
You're prepared to be surprised.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Reveal yourself.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna be an accountant.
You're
You're going to be a dentist with art as a side hustle. Hey, my friend does it really well.
I haven't been to the dentist in a while.
Okay. So, what are your plans?
I'm probably gonna take a gap year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because I gotta get some work experience.
Yeah.
Since my mom is a waitress, she's suggesting that I could also work as a waitress because she knows like a couple tips and tricks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking I might have art as a side gig because I heard that's what a lot of freelance artists do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still not stamped on what my main job should be.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it takes a while to figure out. And when you figure it out, then you figure it out, right?
Yeah.
It's probably not good to go rushing into something unless you kind of have an idea, right?
Yeah. You could work at Montana's and then you get to draw on the tables because they always have like the crayons. And then when they come over, and have you ever been to Montana's?
Kung, what is Montana's?
I have no idea.
It's a moose themed restaurant.
Like a steakhouse.
It's a restaurant, but like they have moose on the walls. Anyway,
I've been to Montana.
All of the tables have like paper on them, and every time the waiter comes over, they like say, "Hi, I'm your server," and then they sign their name for you with the crayon, but it's like upside down. But you could like do that, and then you could like draw on the table.
Is that in North Delta? I've never been to Montana's.
You've never been to
seen
Montana's? It's amazing. We gotta do that as like a grad party. We gotta go to Montana's.
Right.
I feel like you'd like it.
It's a steakhouse, right?
Kind of. There's like a moose on the wall, and at certain locations there's a truck suspended
real
from the
moose?
ceiling. Well, yeah, I think so. And then there's like a deer on the wall, and if it's your birthday, they give you like a helmet with antlers on it, and we should take you. I feel like you'd like it.
So it's like dead animal themed.
I mean, I don't know if they're like real animals. We should take you.
You gotta show me a picture. I can't imagine this. All I just think of is just a bunch of animal heads.
It's like if Yeehaw was a restaurant.
But you said moose.
Yeah, but like all of the employees wear...
Yeehaw the show?
What? I meant like Yeehaw as in like giddy up yeehaw.
The vibes.
The vibe.
Oh, Hee Haw. Hee Haw was a show. Never mind. I used to watch that in the 80s.
Oh,
whoa.
that's pretty old.
Yeah,
Whoa.
that's pretty old.
Almost as old as the
getting
radio
old.
podcast.
Yeah.
Where were we?
Well, I don't know. We started talking about a steakhouse,
We should take you, by the way. That's a
which
very good idea.
should sponsor us because we've mentioned Montana's several times now. So
You did?
I'm waiting for a phone call.
Oh,
No, several times in this podcast. I'm just waiting.
right. Should we say a couple more times, like Montana?
No, I don't think it
Montana's-
helps. I don't think they're listening.
Hannah Montana. Na, na, na.
So you're taking a gap year. You're going to pursue this at some point, maybe. But there are lots of opportunities for you. Especially, do you think that there's opportunities for artists like yourself in Vancouver? I'm talking about Greater Vancouver.
The big part of Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, not now.
Mm-hmm.
Not now. Mostly because AI art.
Mm-hmm.
People who are already working very hard in AI the artist industries are being shot down because of AI. So hard to step in.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they got to make more laws and rules about that.
There is no laws about AI.
Yeah, and they should make them. This feels like the beginning of the dystopia movie. It's always like the AI is becoming more powerful. Like, can we not? Let's.
There's probably like 5 Black Mirror episodes about this.
Well, I know, like as a working actor, you know there's a writer's strike going on. And one of the things that they're...
This morning I saw the news and it's like SAG-AFTRA is going to strike. And I was like, darn it. I agree with the strike, but I just wish the corporations would appease them and stuff. Because I'm not mad that the writer's strike is happening. I'm mad that it has to happen.
Right. But one of the things that they're talking about is artificial intelligence.
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
In terms of, but I mean, I'm sure you've played around with ChatGPT and like you can literally say, write me a script about this, this, and this. And it can come up with some decent stuff. Same thing with art, like Dolly and Midjourney and those kinds of apps where you can type in, paint me a frog with a ball cap on, and then it'll do that immediately.
It will never be as good as Han drawing a frog with a ball cap.
Of course not, but I can imagine somebody out there going, well, this is way cheaper. We could just stick this on a shirt.
Yeah,
right?
some voiceover work is being done with AI, and it's like they gotta figure that out, because I would like to have a job in 10 years, and I think Han would like to have a job in 10 years, and I would like to buy your art in 10 years.
Wow.
I would buy it right now. You've given me stuff I'd pay for.
I did?
Yeah, you drew me some stuff for my birthday once, and I keep it in my room because it's really pretty. I have the birthday card you gave me for my 17th birthday because it looks cool.
I think one of the questions people are going to be asking, though, is, if I can generate this so quickly and it's really good, why do we need people like Han?
Oh, because Han is amazing and cool, and also I feel like you can't.
I mean, besides trying to keep people employed, what would the argument be then? I guess that's the essential question people have to answer and then think about, because I guess corporations are considering that as an option now.
Which I don't think they should. I think what's going to end up happening is that everything is just going to look the same. And then eventually people will get bored and they'll go, this art all looks the same. And anyone who can do that art that AI can't will, everyone will go, oh, this person has really cool original ideas, because they're not just taking a bunch of stuff from the internet and mushing it together. They're actually making something new. An AI can make a frog with a ball cap, but it can't come up with the idea for a frog with a ball cap.
That's a good point. That's a fair point, because because you are thinking frog with a ball cap, right? It can do the mechanics of, and like you said, it's just taking all the stuff that's out there and mushing it together, which is what ChatGPT does as well as a large language model. It just takes writing that's already existing and trying to figure out where it fits, right?
Can I give my opinion?
Yeah. That's why you're here.
Yeah, I feel like the ocean of internet is way too vast for Cassie's scenario to ever happen. At least it's going to take a really long time when it happens. My argument for Kang's question is that the employees will be replaced, and eventually the people who employ those employees will be replaced too.
Ooh.
And at that point, who's even gonna have time to consume these medias? Because everyone's just gonna be doing the work that even AI doesn't want to do.
Right. And then what would we be doing? I guess floating around on a spaceship, sucking through food through a straw.
That is a very distant future.
This sounds so bleak. Oh my god!
I'm just it's WALL-E.
Yeah.
I never watched WALL-E as a kid.
Oh, really?
The opening made me too sad.
Okay.
It's a good movie.
It's kind of a sad movie.
I should watch it.
Yeah. I don't really understand why the hype for AI exists, because if you're not the only people who will not be as affected by the AI replacement, all kind of shenanigans, will be the people who work in physical labors, it requires them to move physically, I guess, and all of the creative jobs will be replaced at some point. So I don't exactly understand it.
You would think the people who would be replaced first would be people who do physical things.
Such a weird reversal. Yeah.
I mean,
even 5 years ago, everyone's like, if you're going into a creative job, they can never replace you because a robot can't do that. And now it's guys, let's all go into physical labor.
Yeah, because robots have taken over, like, say, the auto industry or anything that, in terms of manufacturing, they're really good at what they do because they're just repeating the same thing over and over again, right? So you would think up till now, we would have thought, okay, well, we can still do the creative stuff because we have human brains and only we can think of stuff like that. But it's like the AI stuff is getting eerily close to matching that. It hasn't yet, but
it's, if you think about it, it's only that good because we were so good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, it's to quote Jurassic Park. What is it? You focused so much on if you could, you didn't stop to think about if you should.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And you're right. It's just taking the stuff we've already come up with and rehashing it and mashing it up, right? Because that's what it does.
Yeah, you just gotta sit and wait until the government does something.
Yeah,
this is a really bad way to put it.
It starts with strikes and stuff, and maybe there will be a strike among visual artists going, guys, let's keep us employed and get better better regulation of AI.
Yeah. A couple months ago I was thinking about like starting like a digital portfolio. So I was looking around in ArtStation and I'm like, this is where all the cool artists go to post their portfolios, and I go in there, like the front page, AI protest everywhere.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people feel threatened now.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure ArtStation still didn't take down their AI policies. They actively encouraged it, I think.
So there's AI art on there?
Yes. There's a specific tag that you have to click to not view AI art on ArtStation.
Really?
Yeah.
But what's the point? Because you could just generate it yourself. So it's like people came up with the right prompts to get something. So they're creators because they came up with the right prompts to prompt the AI to make something cool.
Yeah, that's what a lot of AI protesters are arguing for, because like what they see, and like I also agree with this statement, is that they were replaced by these AI like not even AI artists, because they're not doing it, they're just doing the prompts. They're like these AI prompters, and now these AI prompters are complaining that other AI prompters are stealing their prompts.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's
What?
like art theft on like a whole other level.
Everyone else who's viewing this outside of this place is like, do you not see the irony here?
I like how you said prompter too. Like that's a new role that you can have. I'm a prompter.
Oh, that feels so dystopian. The person who sits on their desk all day and their job is just, I'm going to come up with the idea and send it out and it's going to get made immediately.
Right. I'm an artist. You're an artist. What do you draw? I don't draw anything. I come up with some prompts. Oh, what are we getting into here?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, it exists, and I mean, you can't stop it now. But like, maybe you can regulate it, or think of what the consequences might be for humanity.
I know that Japan is trying to control like AI regulations into that. They're not going to shut it down completely, but they're considering if they should ban it from commercial use.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That would make sense, so that companies can't just go like, oh, instead of like hiring someone to make an ad, they go generate an ad for this.
Yeah. I think the problem in there is that how are you going to tell if the work is AI or not?
I think there's like AI detectors, but AI detectors can also be faulty sometimes.
Well, they've been talking about getting AI companies to come up with some sort of digital watermark so that you can tell, but I don't know how that's going to work, but maybe eventually they'll come up with something that will make it easy to figure out, like maybe something inside the image that is produced, because there's all this metadata that's inside the file, right? Maybe that will help.
Yeah.
Not sure. There's always a way around stuff like that too.
There's no 100% best solution right now, because even if you have AI art and it's not allowed, if you draw on top of the AI art, it just kind of becomes a personal work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I think it's good to have these strikes, because it makes people aware that, okay, this is what's happening, because some people just aren't aware of what's
Yeah.
going on. It was good to see, like the other day on the weekend, I watched Across the Spider-Verse, which I
I wanna see it so
I can't
bad.
watch it yet.
you haven't seen it yet. You didn't rush to the theater.
I want to see it.
It came out not even a week ago. Like,
It's so good.
Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, it came out just a few days ago, and it's amazing. But there was this 14-year-old kid who, after the Across the Spider-Verse trailer came out, the first trailer, he decided to recreate the entire trailer using Lego, like, Lego movie,
Oh,
CGI
I think I heard
Lego.
about that. Yeah.
So he actually did like frame by frame recreation using Blender. Blender.
Yeah, I know what that is.
So it's a 3D sculpting program and animation program. So he created this recreation of the Across the Spider-Verse trailer with Lego. Anyways, I went to see the movie, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is a segment that has something to do with Lego in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So after the movie, which was a really funny part of the movie. But anyways, after the movie, I come home and Mr. Pocock sent me this article. And apparently 6 months before the release of this movie, which was just recently, the directors of the movie approached that 14-year-old kid and said, hey, how would you like to create an animation that we're going to put in the movie?
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh,
So
that is an honor.
they actually, Oscar Isaac was doing the voiceover for one of the characters, so they actually got him to redo part of the, because they wanted to include this part. So they actually fit it in before the movie came out. And nobody knew about it until afterwards. People on this kid's Twitter feed, they were going, were you involved in this movie in any way? Because it seems very like the characters that you created in that trailer look very familiar. And then eventually, after the movie came out, he said, yes. And somebody took a photo of the end credits where his name was on there. And that's such a cool story.
Yeah, that is a cool story.
Like for people to realize that this kid has talent and to go, hey, we want this kid to be part of this. Yeah. Pretty amazing.
Man, that would look great on a resume.
Made a sequence in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse at 14.
I mean, like just like you, like he's always been interested in animation and Lego, and he's a huge Spider-Man fan. So that's something he still goes to high school. He's 14. He's in grade 9. So
he's old as my brother. Oh,
that's something that he's always wanted to do. So nowadays it's really easy to just do it.
Yeah.
Right? To watch those YouTube videos or learn from other people and just do it. You don't have to rely on a school to teach you things or a program or, all those kinds of things. I mean, that's one way to go, and that's a good way to go for some people. But yeah, I mean, it really speaks to, just pursuing your passion.
Han, you need to make an OC in Genshin Impact.
No, it's not gonna work.
Oh, it'll be so cool.
But that's also a good example of, artists need to celebrate other artists as well.
Yeah.
I think that's one way we're gonna avoid having an entire AI generated future, right?
Yeah.
If people appreciate human beings for what they can do.
Yeah, but AR is just not impressive when you tell me that is AI, because you didn't make that.
Like, it can be cool to illustrate certain concepts, but at the end of the day, I don't go, this looks like an interesting idea, not, this is really cool art. Like, it's not
it kind of brings the faith down, because when you're looking at it from afar, it's like, wait, that looks cool, and then I click on it, and then I see that this wasn't made by a person, and it just kind of, it brings down the mood. It's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between something that's handcrafted and something that's like, mass produced.
Like, there's always going to be seams in the mass-produced thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you go to IKEA and you just buy a stock painting that's there and then hang it in your house.
Yeah, that just kind of feels, how do I say it? It kind of feels like you're buying just an object. Well, if it was made by like a handcrafted person, like it feels like you're buying an extension of that artist.
Whoa, that's a cool way to think about it.
Mm-hmm. And in a way, even if nobody else knows about it, you know the history behind it and what it took to make that thing, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I look at like a drawing process video online, and most people, if they don't have like the pre-hand knowledge, they wouldn't think much. But sometimes I see them catch them doing a certain thing, and like, wait, I do that too. They don't need to do that, but they do that, like me. Yeah, and sometimes I see that, and it makes me happy that I can see that and understand it.
Do you go? Are you into art galleries and museums and things like that? Have you been to a few where you go and look at other people's art?
When I get the opportunity, I definitely do. Like I've been to like a gallery cafe before, where it's basically it's a building where inside is a gallery and outside is a cafe. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's not around here. It was during my South Korea vacation. Yeah, it was one of that. Sometimes when I'm having family outings and there's a gallery nearby, we do visit it.
How do you How do you appreciate art when you're staring at this painting on the wall or this photograph? Because I've been to a lot of art galleries, like in New York, Washington, D.C., Ottawa, Europe, and the Louvre, and the Orsay, and all those places. And I've stared at art and appreciated it in some way. Like, how do you, and then I see people who just walk by with their phone, snap a shot, and then go to the next one and snap another shot and then leave. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's another way to appreciate the art. But I'm looking at the lines and how they must have painted it and stuff like that. What do you look for?
This depends on a lot of things. If I'm looking at in like a classical painting, like gatherings, and like it's like a book where you flip through the very old paintings that very old people made, and a lot of those are like classical myths or like religious stuff. So you can, the story's already given, and the artist puts in like visual narrative to explain it. And if you manage to catch those like little visuals, then you understand what the story is, and then you relate to the artist. That's kind of how you view classical paintings. But as you go into like modern paintings where people like do things like expressionism and like all that stuff.
Or they painted a canvas black.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've seen those.
Yeah. Where it's like a giant blob and like there's a couple, like one or two lines, and it sells for like $1,000. And like, how do people do that? My tutor still does that. He's been doing it for a while. And I asked him, how do you sell these blobs for $1,500 and like sometimes 10 times of that, because he's pretty famous? His explanation was that the audience, they first look at the painting, they don't know what it is, but what they're supposed to do is how that makes them feel. Like, this painting is like all black. That's kind of depressing. Okay. Depressing. Okay, that's first keyword to go off on. And then the audience is supposed to like look for any details. And for your case, there is no detail.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like emptiness and confusion. Like that's more keywords. Like, and then if you're lucky, you can find the artist statement where the artist explains the painting. And that's when you know, oh, that's how the artist was feeling when they were drawing that.
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes they explain what it exactly means. And that's when you relate to the artist and fully understand it. If they don't give that statement, it's usually because they want the audience to jump into their own conclusions or just stay confused, or sometimes that is the point.
Mm-hmm. So the people who buy these paintings they're willing to pay that much because it evokes a certain emotion out of them, and they want that emotion somewhere in their home so that when they go into a room, they can feel that again. Is that what you're saying?
Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes it's it could really depend on the person. Sometimes it's because you really like this artist's way of expressing these kind of stories. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just for the story. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it is to relieve that emotion. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm definitely, after having been to so many art museums, I'm definitely noticing a lot more as I see like especially older art. I feel a sense of awe because it's so old. Yeah. And I can't believe it and that it's still there. And I can't believe it sometimes when they don't protect it. Like the Mona Lisa is like behind a bulletproof plexiglass or something. So I never got to really get close to it. But there's other pieces of art where you can actually see where they put their brush and all the little lines are there. And it's like you are traveling back to the past at the moment where that was done, right?
Someone made that,
cool. Yeah. Which I guess that's something you can't get now with AI art. Yeah. Right?
Also, the thing about a lot of those classical paintings, especially the ones that are really huge, like they're bigger than a normal person. Yeah.
Huge.
Those
like
kind
the size
of
a whole room.
Yeah, those kind of paintings are usually done by like one art group. Mm-hmm. Like, and technically, like, this giant painting was made by this person, but usually that person said in the quotes is usually kind of the director. Uh-huh. And they would usually have like pupils who would work under them and learn under them. Mm. And a lot of these cases nowadays, their names aren't mentioned because we don't really know them.
Right. Interesting. But we know the person who prompted them.
No, the prompter.
But they were prompting their students.
I feel like that's different.
They were also painting
a frog with a ball cap on.
Yeah. The pupils would usually do like the base work, and then the director comes in and adds all the touches. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's usually what would happen.
Like ghostwriting.
Yeah, you could say that.
Oh, okay. Ghost painting.
I've got an idea for something you could do. Now that we've Bob Ross has gone away for a long time, how about Han Song?
I become the new Bob Ross. Wow.
Oh, I feel like I would watch that. I would watch that show.
I would watch it.
100%.
Yeah. But you have to talk like this.
I would need a really calming voice.
Yeah, he was the originator of ASMR.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember growing up with that and just falling asleep every time. Yeah, I think my parents put that on to make me fall asleep.
It's not the exact same as ASMR. I feel like ASMR is less, let's talk in a calming tone, and it's more like, I'm going to enunciate every single word, but really close to the
Either way, like Bob would make me relax.
Yeah. He just says a lot of nice things. I don't know how one talks so calmly like that. He's just a nice dude, maybe. Mm.
Oh, you should see a documentary that they have about. I think it's on. I can't keep track of which streaming service now, but there's a documentary out there about his life and what was going on behind the scenes, and not so nice business people who are running his life, basically. So, I mean, he kept a very calm demeanor on television, but there were things going on. I mean, he was calm in real life too, and nice and a good person, but his business partners were not so nice to him.
I don't know his full story, if now that you mention it.
Yeah.
I just know what he painted.
Yeah, it's a good doc to watch. Anyways, do you have any other question number 5, Cassie? Do you have any other questions for Han here?
What is your favorite food?
Wow. I really like fish.
It's
Fish
a
are
good
pretty
answer.
nice. This is kind of weird to say because I know you have fish at home, Cassie. Like the pets, but yeah.
They're not
those.
they're not edible.
Well, you're not
fish.
going to eat her pet fish.
Yeah,
My
they're
mom
too
has
small.
joked about it on occasion. Let's cook the fish.
Rabbits, maybe. You got
I
a pet
don't
rabbit,
I
Cassie?
don't think no. I've never eaten rabbit. I've eaten lamb. I've eaten octopus. I've eaten. Oh gosh, I've eaten frog. I'm sorry, it's the little frog with the ball cap. I ate it.
Do we not eat rabbits because we have other substitutes or because they're too cute?
Because people think they're cute.
Okay.
I've actually never had rabbit before, but I've heard it's good.
Oh, because I also think cows are very cute, but they're also very delicious.
Yeah. Cows straddle the line between edible and
Deadly?
and really really cute.
Well, yeah.
Same with ducks. I've eaten ducks, but if I ever held a duck, I'd go, I never eat you. But then I eat duck, and it's like, oh.
It's kind of the battle between the omnivore and the empathy brain.
Oh.
It's a very confusing world we live in. We have to sort things out. AI art, what to eat. Why aren't carrots cute? If carrots were cute, we wouldn't eat carrots, right?
Oh, yeah.
Carrots can look cute.
They don't look cute by themselves. They're just orange sticks.
All right. Well, thank you for appearing on the show, Han. And thank you, Cassie, for co-hosting this.
Oh, wow. Thank you for having me. Yay, we're all 50 years old now.
No,
wow.
it's 50 episodes.
We're 50 episodes old now.
That's almost as many Animorphs books as there are.
I wish you all the best for your graduations. And
I feel old.
yeah. And
Before we graduate, Han has to paint a mural. You have to do it.
Oh, yeah.
do a Banksy style in the middle of the night. Just come out here and
Might as well, actually. Might as well.
I'd love to see that. Okay, thank you, Han. Thank you, Cassie.
Oh, well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you
Bye,
for
everybody.
listening.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Here's to another 50 episodes.